Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we're talking Tao of the day today. How are you? I hope you are well. And yeah, so the Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written about 600 BCE, and um, it translates to the canon of reason. The canon of reason, as in the collection of writings that make up, that help you live a reasonable life. What does it mean to live a reasonable life? That means to live a life that doesn't require anything from anybody else, doesn't require anybody else to change for you. If you experience something that you don't like, well, that's your problem. Especially if other people are doing things to you. Of course, there are things like torture and other things like that, but just like Viktor Frankl said about the concentration camps, well, that's still your responsibility to have that experience and to have purpose in your life beyond what is going on with others and what is going on through others. I talk about the idea of being inspired and how we translate that inspiration, and how you translate that inspiration kind of comes into play when you are experiencing, like, from what you have already experienced. Like, the Tao will inspire you to be or act or do, and how you translate that inspiration into what you do. Like, I was a painter, and so like I used to translate things into, oh, I am inspired, and so I am going to paint. But that was how I translated it, and everybody is going to translate their inspiration differently. And how you translate the world is all about your experiences. And so when we look at Tao, and we look at that which helps us live a reasonable existence, one in which like, we can appreciate that we have freedom to do what we want, as does everybody and everything else, then we get to explore this kind of concept of, what does it mean to live our life, like, not under the influence of other people, places, or things, right? We don't have to live under the influence of an identity. We don't have to live under the influence of our parents. We don't have to live under the influence of other people. And so what I ask is that you come up and choose a number between 1 and 81, and then we will talk about that chapter of the Tao. This is a show I do usually 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, in the mornings around sometime in the morning Central Time. And I am always open to discussing Tao or Brahman or other sorts of text that relate to this concept. Usually these texts are ancient texts, are written about 600 BCE is when Tao was written, and that was right when we were kind of entering the logic phase of evolution, right? The evolution of consciousness, as consciousness has sort of evolved, and we're kind of moving out of the logic realm and moving into the spirit realm. And as that continues to happen, these ancient texts that look at the relationship, the realm of the relationship, as we were evolving, that feminine moving into the masculine logic and then back into the feminine spirit. So as we continue to do this, we get to have these experiences of the whole. And so if you have a number between 1 and 81 you would like to select, please step up, and I would love to chat with you more about what that has in store for you. I look at these sometimes like Oracle deck. I am going to make this into an Oracle deck because I did write my own translation, which is what I've been reading with people recently. But we can also reach into other translations. Stephen Mitchell was the translation that I was introduced to, but then I had moved into other translations like James Legge and Jane English, Frank McCavick, and Brian Donahue, Stephen Mitchell, like These are all, Isabel Mears was another one. Like, all of these are translations that I've used to really get an understanding of what these verses are trying to express. And then once I understand what they were trying to express, I wanted to get it out in a way that was tangible today and tangible as we are moving into this next phase of evolution of consciousness, right? So if you have a number between 1 and 81, I would love to chat with you about what that has for you today. Like I said, these can act as oracle decks sort of things, and other things like that. And so there's a verse that I'm staring at right now, number 50, entitled "Awareness of Death." Before I move in. Oh, Isabel, now this is so good. I miss talking with all my buddies.
Hello, my friend.
How are you?
Good. You've got to read Awareness of Death because the synchronicity, I'm smiling. So I have a teacher's course and it's a small group of teachers that I work with.
Hmm.
And we go under hypnosis. And yesterday's topic was death.
Oh, well
I
then.
know. I know. I'm gonna have you read your thing and I'll tell you what I saw. Because like even though I facilitate the hypnosis,
Mhm.
I get to see things like spirit will download things for me too. So
All
all right.
right. Well,
I know
number
this is so
50, we're
exciting.
gonna we're gonna explore this together. I love
I
that.
know.
Okay, so awareness of death. As you were listening, I must have tuned into that or whatever. So
I know, right?
I just trust. I don't explain. Let's see. Every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it is only a prelude to death. Some live as optimists, embracing life. Others live as pessimists, embracing death. Some even live in preservation, passively living, advancing towards death. The master lives aware of her appointment with death. This brings her to knowing real life. She cannot be harmed by rhinoceros or man. Her movements flow from her being. She cannot be fooled by illusion or hallucination. Her actions flow from her being. She has freed herself of all separateness, even the distinction between life and death.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'll tell you. So there was two other teachers going under. We all had a similar kind of message, but I will tell you what I was shown. I was shown death is the unfolding and folding of energy. It is the in and out. It's an energetic pattern. And there may seem like there's a gap where one begins and one ends, but it is necessary for the energetic pattern to be expressed. So it kind of reminded me of fireworks. So when you see fireworks, you know how like it bursts in the sky and then the ambers dwindle,
Yeah?
then it's like there's space before the next one, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is, but the energy just becomes hidden. So it gives the illusion that there's death, that it's gone, but it's just going from unseen to seen. It's like it was so freaking cool. I can't stand it because everything is eternal.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I love what you're saying because, like, every being is, as we read this awareness of death, we start, every being is entrusted with life for a time. Like you're saying, it's
Hmm.
like when we have time and when we have life, like that is in the manifestation. That is out here. That is that firework.
Hmm.
However, it is only a prelude to death. Like the firework explodes and we see it, and it's only a prelude for it going out and then the next one.
Yes.
Some live as optimists, and this is just about living in this experience. Like some live as optimists, embracing life. Others live as pessimists, embracing death. Some even live as in preservation, passively living, advancing toward death. And that's how people experience that light of that firework that you're talking about. Some people just live to experience that, and they're either living as optimists, saying, "Oh, this is so bright and this is so beautiful," and others live as pessimists, going, "Oh my God, we are going
Yes.
to die." Others
Yes.
live as preservation, showing, I just got to have these ambers alive just a little longer.
Yes. Yes. Isn't that amazing? Like that one line sums up our human experience
Hmm.
of life. I
Yeah.
it's it's so freaking cool. I can't stand it.
And what's great about this is it also expresses the master, right? The master lives aware of her appointment with death. This brings her to knowing real life,
Mhm. Mhm.
like that life of being all connected to all one, knowing that you're going to die, knowing that like this is about this moment. I have ambers and then I don't, or embers or whatever we want to call
Yeah.
it. Like,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
Could
So
be
like
embers.
I am an explosion, and every moment like I am a rocket moving towards space,
Yeah.
and then I am an explosion, and then I am the drifting embers of the explosion, and I know this moment
Yeah.
without worrying about where I came from, without worrying about where I'm going. And that's what's interesting about this. She cannot be harmed by rhinoceros or man. That's such a great, like, I love that line, just because, like,
Yeah.
it expresses this idea that, like, you knowing real life, which has nothing to do with the manifestation, cannot be harmed.
Yeah.
This world, your embers going out, you not able to be seen anymore,
Yep.
doesn't harm you
Yeah.
because death is just what we call moving out of the manifestation.
Yes, and that's what spirit was saying. They were just saying to me, it's moving energy. Death is just
Yeah,
moving energy.
yeah.
And like to really even have that sentence as death equals moving energy, like it's it's very calming.
Yeah.
It's very calming. So like any death, oh, it's just moving energy.
You know, it's interesting. Like I utilize moving energy as a phrase quite often, and one thing that I've become accustomed to is like when a friend of mine and I, when we talk and they cough or they sneeze, we always look at each other and go, "Oh, moving energy."
It's true.
You know, and that's what you're
Martin,
doing, right?
it's true.
Like it's interesting if you were to notice like when you sneeze or when you cough and when you do those things, go, "Oh, is there something happening within me that I
Yeah,
should be aware of?" You know, and death is like that. Death is just moving energy.
I
You know,
know.
and so you cannot be harmed because you are not just this manifestation, right? You are not living
Yes.
as, unless, like, if you're living as an optimist, then you live, I'm not going to be harmed. If you live as a pessimist, you're like, oh, I'm going to be harmed. I'm going to die.
Yep.
Bad thing.
Yep.
If you live in preservation, then you just live in fear of being harmed.
Yes.
But when you're knowing real life in caps, right? Real life, that idea that like you are connected to all thing, and that's what life is. Life includes death.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
cannot, yeah, she cannot be harmed by rhinoceros or man. She cannot be fooled by illusion or hallucination. Like this world is a hallucination. This world is an illusion.
Yeah.
And your actions flow and your movements flow from your being and your understanding of real life.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm working with myself on is Often we think our actions create our reality. And Martin, I'm really kind of like, I, you know, I teach vibration and energy and blah, 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 whatever. But still, even as, because I'm a student too, right? And so I, I kind of like go back to myself and I say, my vibration creates my reality, not what I do. And it calms me down because I have so many projects, Martin. I have to do in my mind so many things, right? And in order for me to like be present and be in the more now moment and grounded, I say the sentence to myself. I said, Isabel, your vibration is creating your reality, not what you do, not what you type, not what you create. My creations is the outcome of my vibration, but my vibration is really creating everything. And that's that last line that reminded me of that.
Yeah, so like these two sections, right? She cannot be harmed by rhinoceros or man. Her movements flow from her being. She cannot be fooled by illusion or hallucination. Her actions flow from her being. Those are purposeful, right? Actions
Mm-hmm.
are illusionary.
Mm.
Actions
Yes.
are
Yes.
hallucinations. She cannot be fooled by hallucination. Her actions flow from
Mm-hmm.
her being.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to be fooled by thinking she's taking action.
Yep.
They flow from her being,
Yep.
and she's not being fooled by that hallucination.
Yeah.
Just like her movements flow from her being, she can't be harmed by rhinoceros or man. Movements are about like you can't go to a quote unquote bad neighborhood. You can't move your body in a way that will harm you because harm is not something that can be done to you.
Right.
Right. And so those are very those when I translated that, like they were chosen very specifically because they related to those things, right? You like when you think if you think your actions are causing your life, then like if you think your actions are causing the greatness in your life, it's because you're an optimist. If you think that your actions are causing all the harm in your life, it's because you're a pessimist. And those are
Mm.
embracing life or embracing death.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, so as we wrap this up in the last line, she has freed herself of all separateness.
Mm-hmm.
Separateness of optimism or pessimism or doing or not doing or all of the
Right.
things.
Right.
You've
Right.
separated yourself from separateness, even the distinction between life and death. There is no distinction between the two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like you say, like it is just energy flowing. Just like okay, I cough. There's no distinction between me before I coughed and after I coughed.
Right.
But there
Right.
is, but there's no distinction between that. But I am moving energy,
Yeah.
and I am a different person now. But you can't distinguish.
Now, now, and when I was seeing the energy unfolding and folding and the infinity symbol, and it was pretty cool. But one of the other things that I noticed was the patterns of energy, right? The fireworks. It was a show. And it reminded me of my other journey where they said we put a show for ourselves to show our own love. So the energy, so like the death of the moving energy is also the expression of love. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like it's been said so many times, everything is love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, I mean, I was talking earlier about the idea that like you interpret your inspiration, and so when
Yep.
you are inspired by love, and if you put hate in the world because you interpret that love in that way, well, that's okay.
Because
and
it's
that's
still
going
love.
to,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
because there
Yeah.
is nothing else, right?
There is nothing else.
Right. And
There
just
is
like,
nothing else.
just like when, like there's that, like there's only one God, but it's like you get rid of that one. There's only God. There's only love. This is all there is. That
Yeah.
means that which you're experiencing. And so if you're being harmed by rhinoceros or man, that's due to the energy that you're putting into the world as an optimist, pessimist, or preservationist, right? Like as it expresses here.
Yeah. So cool, friend. So
Isabel, I
cool.
love you, and I love that we connect so deeply so quickly.
It's awesome. It's
And
awesome.
and and what a wonderful gift that you were just talking about this, and then we connected so
I know.
fortuitously.
I know. So cool. So
Yeah,
cool. I'll let, do you have another guest coming
I
on,
do,
honey?
I do.
Okay, good. All right. I'll pop off. Have a wonderful morning and I will talk to you soon.
Yes, we will. Have a great night.
Okay.
Bye bye. Oh, Dr. Rao, it has been a minute. Hello, my friend.
Hi, how are you, Martin?
I am very well. Doing a little traveling. I'm at family's house. I'm at my sister's in Virginia at the moment, and we're going to be here for a little while. But I'm having a wonderful moment.
Good, good.
And yourself, how are you? I'm sure you're blissful.
Yeah. So no need to answer, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. There is no.
I was busy on the clubhouse because
Oh, okay.
they gave me a house to build, right? I mean, few people are given, and later on, I think everybody can have it. But it's like a beta. They were, I put it like a dogs and burnout as the room because I'm basically helping the dogs to burn out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. Anyway, what you are talking about, I'm going to combine two of them, Martin.
Please.
Death and love.
Okay.
See, because you are talking about the death and you are talking about the love too, right?
Yeah. We were saying that death is an expression of love. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Death kind of brings on the love rather than, Uh,
Mm-hmm.
this is in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is a poem called Najayate Mriyateva. That means the real you is never born and never dies.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's what we were talking about. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
brings her into knowing real life, right?
yeah.
That's what like, yeah, beautiful.
What is the reality is that, there's another Sanskrit thing I think you will like it is praptasya prapti, nivrittasya nivritti. What does it mean is what you are, you will get it. The real
Mm.
talking about. What you are not, you lose it.
Yes.
So what you are is the real self. The inner being, you will realize and you get it. What you are not is your thought, construct, ego, personality, body, all the
All
manifestation.
of the things that fall away, all the
Yeah,
things that you lose.
yeah. You are branding as a manifestation. That's, I think, very correct term too.
Yeah.
And then there is another statement, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. That means Brahman, that Tao that we are,
Mm-hmm.
that is real, and Jagat Mithya. Mithya means illusion.
Yeah.
You are using all these terms earlier. That's why I kind of repeating that. In Sanskrit, how they were written and all that.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, very very fascinating, is Krishnamurti, J. Krishnamurti was supposed to be personification of love, but he never said "I love you" and all of that.
Yeah.
And he also said people use this love as love making. I get horror about it. And so, so you can see where people have moved. So what he was saying was uh, observer. That is the non-reality that we are manifestation, we're calling it, and that is built up with the thought, right? Thought construct. And
Yeah.
then all the compilation of it, when you see it is not it, and then you dump it, then you are love.
Yeah.
So, observer or built up personality, ego, or pits of mind. This is something I'm going to talk lately about. People are caught up in the mind, and then they dug themselves something, a pit, and stay there, and they want everything else to resonate with what they think.
Yeah.
So that is not there, then that God-like or consciousness or whatever it is, that is the love we call about, and that energy is there, and that energy is not like a object to us. It is us.
Right.
And one of the very common way to die is to look at your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in the deep sleep? You almost reincarnated. Your mind is gone and your body is gone, and then you come out of it in the morning. And if you are really staying with that silent self which runs the deep sleep, then you are dying to the thought and everything that you have accumulated.
Yeah.
Then see how the day is completely new, right? That is the reincarnation they're talking about for every day.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big deal in spiritual circles. Anywhere you see, death plays a significant importance. And the people who you view as, you know, death is only a transition, then the question comes, then do you believe there is reincarnation? Do you know what it is? How do you prove it? All these things, right? It's very important to understand this, because the people who believe this is the only life and I have to enjoy it here, and they kind of dug themselves into all these false realities as though that's the real.
Right.
Whereas the people who say this is transition, what does it mean? By implication, there is life after that.
Mm-hmm.
The life, that means this energy, that is what that energy is never born. It manifested into something, that's fine, but it is never born. And then, so it doesn't die. It is always there, eternal.
Yeah.
And that gives such a permanence, a sense of permanence to us, and you don't have a fear of death anymore.
Right. And that's the big,
Yeah,
that's a big deal because I
big
think
deal.
a lot of people like when you're in this life and you believe that this is the only one,
Mm,
then you have to fill it with like
yeah,
enjoyment and you have to fill it with all this stuff. And it's like, no, this moment
yeah.
is
You know,
fleeting. So be here now.
yeah, the tragedy there is the enjoyment they're thinking is way less than when you're establishing this Brahman or
Right.
and live there, because that's the real.
Yeah. It's like their enjoyment is really just distracting them
Yeah,
from this moment of who they are. And
yeah.
that's and when you can get there,
Mm,
and it's not a there, when you can just like let go of trying to grasp,
yeah. You are
then
all that. That's it.
yeah, that's it. You are it.
You are that is where people think there's a path, there's to go, there's
Right. There's nothing.
road.
It's already here. You are. Oh, you are it. Like
Yes,
it isn't even an it to be. You. It's
yes,
like it's not like
yeah.
it's achievable.
You
It's
know
not.
that
It's nothing to achieve.
when you guys talking about energy, he said as though energy is separate. No,
Right. No.
we are that energy. You know.
Yeah, it's all and like yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Because it's always good to get. I love your perspective because you're coming at it from so much knowledge and so much work and like so much being and you've been doing so much and I respect everything that you present me and it always helps me just
Yeah,
be a little bit
yeah.
and,
That
and
you
touch
know
that.
death and love, how he combined, J. Krishnamurti combined this, because he was known to have this aura of love around him, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
without saying anything, without expressing anything in words and all that, what it is how he kept himself within, established reality, not calling like according to the ancient texts, or we quoted Bhagavad Gita, we quoted Tao,
Yeah.
what, but then he comes from the original perception.
Yeah.
So what he perceived was, this observer that I built up is assessing, analyzing, judging, all that,
Mm-hmm.
and that separates us from that energy that we are all one.
Yeah.
So what he said was, understand this. You see what it is. It's not like stating a statement and get rid of the observer. That's not it. It's like looking at it as the not real and then dropping it.
Mm.
Then what is non-love is dropped. Then you are already in that.
Yeah.
So his mind is like that. See, for example, order in. If we look at the disorder that is creeping into our mind, right? Out
Mm-hmm.
of understanding of the disorder, that is dropped and order is already presented itself. It's
Mm.
something like a goal, you're going to reach it. It's not like a journey you're going to take it. It's like staying put in already what it is. But then our mind, our stimulations and all those, they breed the disorder.
Mm. Yeah.
So this is what he was talking about, the observer dropped, then you are in that loving energy. Because you are one energy, you don't have to even say, I'm equanimous, I'm going to accept you. None of it.
Yeah. You're not an identity.
Yeah, like you are saying, we are not going to separate ourselves from that.
Right.
That's it. Don't separate yourself from that, and you are there. That's where they said Brahma Satyam. That means that is the only reality. Jagat Mithya. That means everything else, the manifestation is a illusion.
Yeah.
That is
Mm.
that's the ancient Shankaracharya's thing. What is uh, this? They talked to him. Then he said this statement. Then he said, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmehanapara. That means there is Brahman engulfing in us and everywhere else too. But
Mm-hmm.
because we are falling out of that, we identify with the other false thing.
Right. We identify with the mind or the body or the,
Yeah.
and those are I mean, those are powerfully obvious. And
Yes.
so it's easy, I understand, to like be born and then be inundated into these
Yeah.
concepts and then letting them go, like not picking up those illusions are like it's not something that it's just like you wake up and you're like, but it's
There is it's another surprising statement I will tell you.
yep.
Nothing new, but I'm telling you. Um,
There is nothing new. So
yeah. I mean, what is this? Uh, there is only the self.
yeah.
That means the Brahman or the Tao or whatever we call that energy. That's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is manifest and goes. That's where Najayate means it has not taken birth. Mriyate eva. That means is not going to die because it never born. But the
Yep.
one that is born is going to die, and that is the manifested body mind complex.
Yes. Mm. I really like that idea that like you are, that which you are will never die. That
Mm,
which you are not, you will lose, like, and it's beautiful. Like you will lose,
yeah,
like as we get older, we lose our mind. As we
that's
get
not an
older.
that's not an that's a fact. That's a reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't use it idea, because then you go
Oh,
into,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like the statement.
I know.
Like, it's not even a statement. I like the reality that
Yeah,
like that's what happens. Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
because we lose everything.
yeah. I
We
didn't mean.
lose it all. We lose our life. We lose
Okay.
our friends. We lose our family. We lose but what we are, and
Yes,
that is connection to all things anyway.
and that's where you are inclusive. You are not losing anybody really.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't mean to point out, but then idea gives the other people like,
No,
oh,
I understand.
I know what
I
you mean.
agree, and I think my
Yeah,
language sometimes
no,
is
no.
a little too
Idea,
flippant.
idea, concept. These things. Be careful, Martin, because
Yes.
that brings people into the conceptual mind or cognitive limited thought. Is idea.
Yeah.
That is the problem, right? Modern people problem.
Yeah, because that's that proof, right? We need proof of something. We need to prove something, and we need to be. But there's proof within us.
You know, this morning I discovered something I want to share with you,
Please.
because you can appreciate it probably. Um, there are so many subtler levels in us. So don't address very, very, very subtle things to the gross mind.
Hmm.
That means not judge.
Okay, you just cut out. I just want you to come back. It means not judging them, and then we'll get you back up to finish.
Okay,
Okay.
insight, mind. What the insight is? Why is that I listen to somebody like a very, very subtler sage, for example, okay?
Hmm.
And he presents the same thing, but because my mind is now subtler, it cannot grasp it.
Hmm.
So the deeper you go subtler, you go beyond the mind, beyond your understanding, beyond all the conscious, here and now, and all that you go beyond into the space which is silence. And in that silence, you receive much more than communication with words. Our
Yeah.
language is limited, any language, not just
Uh,
one, right?
I agree.
So all I'm saying is, you don't have to actively say this man is subtle, that man is. No. Is this mind that I'm encountering subtle enough to understand?
Mm.
So what's happening to us is, I'm including you and me, because
Hmm.
we don't want to blame anybody else, you know.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, we come on the stage, for example, we are in silence, happy, blissful, right? That's why I tell you all, okay, I'm blissful
Yeah.
and that. And then you got to come down to the mind level, and that means less subtle level, and communicate with language so that they will understand.
Mm.
But the thing is, if they don't make the leap of subtlety within themselves from superficial to deep, they cannot get it.
No. No, like subtle.
Yeah,
Like everything, all the beauty is subtle.
subtle.
All the love is subtle.
And
All things are subtle.
the depth increases. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's not like a uniform thing. It's like a grows to subtler and subtler and subtler.
Yeah.
That's why when we listen to these people who have realized things by their own chitta or deeper um, receiving intelligence, I don't even
Hmm.
mind,
Yeah.
unless that is there, you cannot understand much superior intelligent than you are.
Yes.
And that's why look at the scientists, what happens to them. They are not bought by the conventional, traditional wisdom in any field, right?
Hmm.
They don't want to be just accepting that. That's why because they did that, they were questioning what is the conventional wisdom. Like I heard this flight, he was not convinced about it, and then he leapt into the universal intelligence, had the insight. That's where the intelligence has come, and then he passed it on like something that everybody else can really understand at the time, because they themselves by themselves cannot travel the subtler level.
Mm. No,
Yeah, see, now you can understand what the difficulties could be and how you could be really aware of this, and that's why I'm mentioning that to you.
that's beautiful. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not like we are superior, we are none of that. We
No,
don't.
no, 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 no. We
But
know that.
the subtler level you can go, what happens is the mind becomes more receptive when you're subtler.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it will go the other way, gross way.
Right. And then it
It will,
grasps, and then it thinks, then it grasps
yeah,
on
there's a
to your
beautiful,
rightness and
yeah,
to the correct and to the need to do things with it. And it's like, no, being it
there's a
is it.
beautiful term I heard, which really puts this very okay. It's like a mind makes its own pit
Hmm.
and settles down there and says, this is the only way.
Yeah. That's it. Like that's
So I'm going to use that mind pit level, and yeah, I'm going to make myself understand where am I encountering a subtler energy here, or gross energy that has formed a pit of its own.
yeah. But
It's
that
not
yeah.
like a making anybody brand like they're inferior or superior, but it's like a energy level.
Yeah. It like one has to understand the
Mm.
subtle
Now
so that
a question comes to people like us.
yeah.
No, what does Rao or Martin, when they are alone, they are in a very subtle level, but on their own, come back to the life and protect that at the same time trying to share.
Yeah, that's always and as I continue to explore, it's funny how I just keep saying maybe I don't want to share.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's just like, well, what's the point of sharing? Like you
yeah.
have
No, I
this.
have come to that conclusion in a different way. You know
Yeah.
what? Why do we have to waste time when the other person is not able to receive? You know, let them come when the time comes for them to really explore that, then they will be receiving it.
That's how I like to share. Like
Yes.
you come and then and if you don't want to come, I could very easily just let it go. It's not mine. We can
Yeah.
just let it go.
Yeah, it's a question of I don't come to share anything in the sense of lifting the people, but more
Right.
like
Yeah, neither
my
do
own
we.
perception, you know. And
Yeah.
then the thing is, uh, actually, I find that very nourishing when you are silent self and absorbed in that, and that's very very true. But then a lot of this transaction goes on, thinking that oh we're going to grow together, we're going to understand each other and all that. I mean,
Mm,
innocent expectation, but that's the very fact that puts them back.
right. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's happening to you quite a bit, and that's why I was always warning you.
I'm always paying attention, trying
Yeah,
not trying, just being here and I hear you and I
yeah,
appreciate you and love you
yeah,
and yeah, it's all good.
yeah. That's one. Okay, Martin, we'll talk.
Okay. Have a wonderful day or
Bye.
weekend. And your life is beautiful. So, all right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. If anybody has a number between 1 and 81, I would love to discuss more about Tao. We read number 50 earlier with Isabel, which was awareness of death. And Dr. Rao came on to give us a little bit more perspective on that. If you have been listening, I'm going to go ahead and read 50 again. If anybody wants to come up, you come on up and you'll have a little time while I read number 50 before we sign out. Every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it is only a prelude to death. See, like this is really just expressing your death is a part of your life. There is no separating it. It's like you are bigger than that. And then when we talk about life, we say some live as optimists, embracing life. Some live as pessimists, embracing death. Some even live in preservation, passively living, advancing towards death. We're all moving towards death, but what are we embracing, right? Some of us are embracing life. Some of us are embracing death by being a pessimist and just thinking about all the bad things that might, that might kill us. And when we embrace death, I'm not saying that we try and move towards death any quicker, but what we do is we live as a pessimist. So we focus our life on the part that's going to happen, which is death, and we live in fear of that or whatnot. Some even live in preservation, passively living, advancing towards death. They just try and live to not die, and that's like if you're a sports fan, if your team is trying to not lose rather than win, it's sometimes really obvious. It's just like, oh, they're trying to not lose. That's just preservation. It's not trying anything. The master lives aware of her appointment with death. So this is how the master, she's aware that she's going to die. This brings her to knowing real life. This is her real self. Her real self, not the self that's alive, the self that is going to survive beyond death, the self that never was born and never dies. She's aware of her appointment with death, and this brings her to knowing real life. This is her life. And this life, this physical life that she has is something that she can experience, but it's not who she is. It's not her identity. She cannot be harmed by rhinoceros or man. Her movements flow from her being. Everything that she does flows from her being. And nothing can harm her. She cannot be fooled by illusion or hallucination. Her actions flow from her being. Her actions, being illusionary here in her life, flow from her being. And she's not going to be fooled into thinking that they're her actions. Not going to be fooled into thinking that they're important. Not to be fooled into thinking that they're doing anything. She has freed herself of all separateness, even the distinction between life and death. There's no reason to distinguish between the two. This is what you're experiencing now. After you're dead, you're going to experience something else. Experience this now, and then after you're dead, you can experience that. You go to sleep every night, you're experiencing that at that moment. But when you're awake, you're often experiencing the future or the past or other things and what other people think and all of these things. But it's like you are still experiencing this, whatever this happens to be right now. All right. I want to thank you guys for joining me for Tao of the Day. I appreciate it. Isabel, you are beautiful, and I'm really glad that we got a chance to talk about this today, and I'm glad it was so connected. Now, if you like what I produce here on Tao of the Day, I suggest, or I would love if you were to go over to Venmo and send me a tip at martinjohn_Garcia. Thank you so much for joining me for Tao of the Day. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.